You're working hard, but your money is working against you. 90% of people are currently paying a tax they don't even know exists. It's not the IRS, and it's not hidden in your paycheck. It's the cost of being safe. By the end of this, you'll see the exact inflection point where a $900,000 portfolio stops being a collection of assets and starts becoming an autonomous machine that replaces your labor. Most people think their brokerage app is a scoreboard. They check it, see green, and think they're winning. They see red, and they think they're failing. But imagine you're in a room where the walls are moving inward every single day. You're measuring your height, but the floor is dropping. You think you're investing for growth, but you're actually participating in a slow-motion liquidation of your future purchasing power. If your portfolio isn't hitting that machine phase, you aren't an investor, you're a donor. That scoreboard, it's a distraction. If you're measuring progress in dollars, you're trapped in the packing phase. You're the guy packing the snowball while the hill is sitting right there, empty. You're doing 100% of the work for 0% of the leverage. But what if I told you this safe bank account you trust is actually the most dangerous asset you own? You think you're protecting your money from market crashes, but you're actually guaranteeing its slow death by inflation. You are trading certainty today for poverty tomorrow, and you call it being responsible. Meet David, 38 years old, lives in Chicago, works as a project manager, pulls in $110,000 a year. He's smart with money. He puts 15% into his 401k, keeps a nice buffer in a high-yield savings account, and he sleeps well at night. He thinks he's ahead. He's doing everything the experts tell him to do. David is generating $40,000 a year in pure friction for the system, and he doesn't even know it. Every time he checks his savings and feels safe, he's paying an invisible premium to keep his money stagnant. He's working for his money while the system is working him. He is the perfect cog in the machine because he believes the machine is his friend. Think about those massive pension funds in the late 90s. Thousands of employees, all the data in the world. They had every advantage, and they collapsed because they confused safety with survival. They held the safe assets right into a currency debasement that turned their massive hoards into dust. They had the money, but they forgot the math. You think you're growing wealth. You're actually just holding on to a depreciating claim ticket. The moment your annual returns exceed your contributions is the moment you stop being a worker and start being a master. Most people are terrified of the market. They see a dip and they want out. They listen to the guy on the news telling them to move to cash, but cash is a losing position. If you have $900,000 sitting in a savings account earning a few percent, you're losing money every single day that the cost of living climbs. You aren't playing the game, you're just watching it from the sidelines while the game gets more expensive. You want to see the real trick? It's not about finding the perfect stock, it's about the structure. You have your brokerage, you have your 401k, maybe an IRA. They're all separate, all fragmented. You can't see the machine because you're looking at 3 different parts of it in 3 different rooms. The moment you unify those accounts, the moment you treat them as one single balance sheet, the inflection point becomes visible. You see the snowball moving, you see the hill taking over, and suddenly you aren't the one packing the snow anymore, you're the one holding on for the ride. And that's when you realize the safe way of doing things was actually the most reckless way of all. You see, the system relies on your fragmentation. If your money is in 5 different places, you never get the full picture. You never see the total engine output. You only see small, isolated parts. And that keeps you small. It keeps you manageable. It keeps you asking questions like, should I save more? Instead of, why is my engine output stalled? And then there's the scam. You've seen them in the comments, haven't you? The guys promising you the secret strategy, the Telegram links, the mentors who want to help you trade. They thrive because you're scared. They thrive because you're looking for a shortcut to a destination you don't even know how to map. Real wealth management isn't found in a comment section. It's found in a cold, hard mathematical plan that doesn't care about your feelings or the market's mood. When you stop looking for tips and start looking for architecture, the scammers vanish because they have nothing to sell you. You're no longer a mark, you're a practitioner. You are the only person who can define your own risk profile. When you outsource that to a bot in a comment thread, you are essentially signing over your autonomy, and the price you pay for that is everything. You aren't rich because you save money. You become wealthy when your base capital creates more value than your labor ever could. The goal of investing isn't to accumulate more cash. It's to reach the mathematical inflection point where your portfolio generates your entire annual salary while you sleep. David from Chicago is still working his 9 to 5. He's still checking his app, still feeling safe with his cash buffer. But he doesn't see the hole in his boat anymore. He sees the water, but he thinks it's the ocean. Starting today, you're going to stop looking at your balance as a total and start looking at it as an engine. If the engine isn't moving, you're just carrying the weight. You're going to take your fragmented accounts and consolidate your view. You're going to stop calling yourself safe when you're actually just stagnant. You're going to find that inflection point where the hill takes over. But here's the thing nobody tells you about that machine. Once it's running, once it's actually generating more than you contribute, the hardest part of the entire game begins. Because at that point, you aren't fighting the market anymore. You're fighting your own desire to tinker with the settings and break the whole thing. Let's talk about the math of the $900,000 threshold. Why this number? Why is it the marker of the top 10%? Because at $900,000, assuming a modest but aggressive enough yield, your portfolio begins to exhibit what physicists call critical mass. It stops being reactive and starts being proactive. It begins to capture more capital from the market than you could reasonably earn from your day job in a calendar year. This is the moment the machine flips. This is the moment the hill takes over. But look at the average person in this bracket. They are terrified. They have $900,000 and they are doing everything in their power to make sure that money doesn't move. They keep it in bonds, they keep it in cash, they keep it in safe vehicles that aren't actually safe because they are failing to keep pace with the hidden reality of monetary expansion. You think you are protected because the balance is high, but if your purchasing power is evaporating, your balance is a lie. I remember reading about a billionaire who lost it all in the 2008 crash, not because he didn't have money, but because he had the wrong kind of structure. He had concentration risk disguised as growth. He had illiquidity disguised as a long-term strategy. He was the smartest guy in the room, and he was the first guy to go broke because he couldn't see the architecture of his own failure. You have to be smarter than that. You have to look at your $900,000 not as a pile of gold, but as a fuel source. If you don't burn the fuel, you go nowhere. If you burn it too fast, you explode. You need a governor. You need a system. Think about how you feel when you open your app. Are you looking for a hit of dopamine? Are you hoping to see a bigger number so you can feel a sense of security for exactly 5 minutes? That feeling is the product. The app companies want you to feel that way, because if you feel that way, you stay inside their system. You keep your money in their low-yield buckets. You don't ask about taxes. You don't ask about estate planning. You don't ask about the underlying cost structure. You just stare at the number and feel good. You are paying for the privilege of being blinded. Let's go back to David. Let's say David finally listens. Let's say he consolidates. He looks at his 401k and realizes he's paying 1.2% in fees for a fund that hasn't beaten the market in a decade. He looks at his brokerage and realizes he's holding cash that could be in a more efficient vehicle. He takes the $900,000 and he stops viewing it as savings and starts viewing it as capital. He rebalances, he optimizes for taxes, he sets a withdrawal rate that is actually sustainable. Suddenly, David isn't just a project manager, he is a capitalist. And that word, capitalist, is something that makes a lot of people uncomfortable. They think it means you're greedy, they think it means you're mean. It doesn't. It means you understand the rules of the game. It means you stop being the piece on the board and you start playing the game. Most people will spend their entire lives working for money. They will wake up, go to work, pay their taxes, and then wonder why they feel tired. They will spend their weekends looking for deals and their evenings reading about hacks, but they will never ever master the machine. Why? Because the machine requires patience. It requires you to sit in a room and do nothing while everyone else is panicking. It requires you to look at a market crash not as a disaster, but as a sale. When you see a dip, the average person feels fear. They want to sell. They want to retreat to the safe zone. But the person who understands the architecture feels something else. They feel opportunity. They know that a dip is just the price they have to pay for a higher yield in the future. But you only get to that point if you have the discipline to hold. And discipline is the one thing they don't sell in the App Store. If you are sitting there with $900,000, you have already done the hard part. You've already accumulated. You have already played the game well enough to get to the top. But you are at the most dangerous point in the entire journey. You have enough to lose, but you don't yet have enough to stop. You are in the in-between. And in the in-between, the system will try to take it from you. It will try to take it through inflation. It will try to take it through high fees. It will try to take it through bad advice from people who don't have your best interests at heart. You have to protect your territory. You have to build a moat around your capital. That means you need to get educated. Not just YouTube educated. I mean truly, deeply, fundamentally educated. You need to understand how the tax system works. You need to understand how to move money efficiently. You need to understand how to preserve your wealth for the next generation. If you don't do this, you are just a temporary custodian of your own wealth. You are holding it until the system finds a way to take it back. Don't be that person. Don't let your life's work become someone else's profit. Take control, consolidate your view, understand your engine, and for heaven's sake, stop looking for secrets in the comments section. The secret isn't in a video. The secret is in the plan. The secret is in the structure. The secret is in the way you look at your own balance sheet every single day. If you have $900,000, you are not just a person. You are a corporation of one. Start acting like it. Start managing your risk. Start optimizing your flow. Start thinking about your long-term viability, not your short-term gain. If you do this, you won't just be safe, you will be free, and that is the only goal that matters. But what happens when you finally reach that freedom only to realize the rules of the game have shifted underneath you? What happens when the machine is perfectly optimized, but the currency itself is being redefined? The game doesn't end when you hit $1 million. It just changes. And if you aren't ready for that change, the machine you built might just be the thing that keeps you trapped. Do you know what the most common trait is of the people who actually survive the transition to permanent wealth? It's not what you think, and it's definitely not what the experts tell you. But once you see it, you'll never be able to look at your portfolio the same way again.